All right, we're live. How you doing, Tim?
Dude, doing phenomenal. How are you doing, man?
Tim, you look good. You sound good. Something's
feel
different,
good.
Tim. Something looks different. I can't figure out what it is.
You know what? It was the goats. The goats have inspired me, is what it is, man. I'm taking it to the next level. I said I'm no longer an old goat. I'm a young goat. You know how like Spider-Man got bit by the spider, that radioactive
Yes.
spider? I think it was a radioactive goat, believe it or not. That's just, it's funky as hell, man. I'm
It
just
made you go
feeling
out
good.
and get yourself a proper studio, Tim. You're
There you go,
looking
brother.
good. You sound like you're on a radio show.
That's the only
You
way to
look
go,
like
man.
you're on a radio show. How you doing?
Dude, I'm actually doing really well, although this market is driving me nuts.
Well, you want to hear a funny story real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So the other day I was in Costco with my family and they had a display in the middle of the store for all their sheds. And I really need a shed. So they had this shed for like $7.99. And I was like, my wife wanted to go buy food. And my kids enjoy going with me because they get to ride on the cart. And I'm always like, goofing off with them. And I look at all the cool stuff, right? So I was like, all right, guys, let's go. Look, we're looking at a fire pit. And we go look at this shed. And I was like, hey, girls, let's get in there and see what it looks like. So they get in and I shut the shed and I lock it from the outside, right?
Oh, my God. Brian.
So then I'm looking in there and they're laughing and they're like, Dad, let us out. I said, all right, I'm gonna let you out. And then so I have Presley and Karis. Karis is 9 and Presley's 11. She's like, no, Dad, leave us in here. It'll be fun. I said, okay. And Karis is like, no. So then I take my cart and I start to walk away and I go down the aisle. And then I give it like a minute or two and I come back and I just walk in front of it because there's windows at the top, but the whole thing's like sealed up.
Yeah.
So then they see me, they're like, Dad, let us out. So I like going, I said, you want me to let you out? And then Karis like, yes. Presley goes, no. And I said, okay. So then I leave again. And this time I'm gone like 4 or 5 minutes. And then they're laying on the ground because they don't want people to look in there and see them. So they're afraid that people are going to walk in and they're going to see him. So I come back, like I do this like 2 or 3 times. It's been like 15 minutes, right?
Right.
So at this point, like I actually started looking at this cooler. I'm looking at this cooler. It's like on the next aisle over. And I hear like this woman kind of like getting loud. And I hear my kids like, they're going, Dad. And my daughter's running down the aisle, like running across the store. And then I see the other daughter running after her. And I was like, girls, come over here. So apparently someone had come up and wanted to see the inside of the shed and they opened it up and the 2 kids were in there and they said, oh, how long have you been in there? And they were like, they just ran out and the people thought the kids were like abducted and being left in the shed.
God, Brian, dude, you are nuts, man. I am serious.
Valerie doesn't know anything about it. So Valerie's pushing her cart and she just comes around the corner and then she sees this woman standing there with the kids and she doesn't know anything about it. So obviously they go up and they give her a hug and I had to come around. The dad was laughing. He was kind of like high-fiving me. And then the mom kind of looked at me like, you're a bad father. So
that is kind of creative. I got to be honest with you, but yeah, I don't think so. Not in this day and age, man. What the heck? Oh,
it was all right, man. I could prove they were my kids. You know what I mean? I thought it was all right. They still think it's funny. So
they enjoyed it. It's all that matters, man.
Yeah. So anyway, wow, what's going on, man?
Inventories? Have you seen the latest? I saw an article and it said I think it was 572 or 578,000 homes available for sale in the entire United States of America.
So how many were for sale during like 2020? I don't know. Probably it wasn't even 2021 that had the most sales. Like it was probably like 19 or 20, you think?
Actually, 19 was not a good year. 20 was a superb year. Oh my goodness. The pandemic, I think everybody just freaked out and said,
yeah,
we need a bigger house.
Probably. So how many houses well, you say for sale, and it
listed for sale.
Like, even during the pandemic, there wasn't a lot for sale because they were selling so fast. They weren't technically for sale. Like what do we compare that to?
Well, let's compare it this way. And I want you to think about this. There's 142 million houses, if you will, right? Residential. there's only 578,000 houses listed for sale. That's 4%. That's it. And our demand right now is quadruple what's available. That's why we're seeing multiple contracts.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out what's happening with affordability. And, the other article that we read was Wall Street has really jumped in and said, you know what, we're in the single family home business. And I sent you that article earlier, and it was talking about, just several companies have over 65,000 homes for rent in just Atlanta alone. So
Tim's talking about like corporations are buying rental houses now, like now Wall Street, like big, so these guys have like billions of dollars,
right?
And they don't know what to do with their money because the stock market's not booming. The crypto's no longer booming. Like, where do we put the money?
Well, and I'm going to reverse this to you too, Brian. Ready? A lot of these homes were bought in 08, 09, 10 for pennies on the dollar. And, hedge funds thinking they're going to buy them. And we all thought, you're going to put them back on the market and really kind of reap the equity reward, if you will, and just the solid return. But, the companies are looking at this saying, hey, rents are skyrocketing. They're still going through the roof. Number one, right? Values, because the severe limited inventory is still going up. And there's a question is, what is the American dream today, right? Is the American dream going to be to rent just due to the severe lack of housing and affordability? Is it still going to be the American dream to buy? What's going to be the solution, Brian? And that's the challenge that our buyers have today, is finding a home, being able to make that purchase work, and not, I hate to say this, not overpaying, but I don't even think that's the case anymore. I don't think we're going to see this implosion other than the higher
reason
end.
We're not, right? Is because of what you just said. There's nothing to buy. So it's all supply and demand. Like, if rates went back down to 3%, my prediction is house prices would drop 10%. Why? Because everybody who wished they could sell their house would put their house on the market, and supply side would shoot way up. The demand would, it would take a burst at first. Everybody who's looking would buy one, and then the supply would drop down to, a normal level, and you would see what is inflated house prices come back. So I talked to a guy like 2 hours ago. He lives in Oxon Hill, and he wants to move to Charles County because he wants a detached garage. He likes working on cars. I said, I can appreciate that.
Sure.
And I was like, well, are you financing? Are you paying cash? He's like, well, I'm financing. He's like, what's your rates? 3? Do you know it's like 6.5? How much? And the question really is, how much of it is he financing? Is he financing, like 90% of it, or is it
right.
50% of it, or 10% of it? I don't know how much equity he had in his house. I didn't want to dig too far into it, but if he has 50% equity, I mean, he buys like maybe a $500,000 house. He has a $250 mortgage at 6.5%. That's not crazy.
No,
you know what I mean? The difference between 3 and 6 or 7 on a $250,000 house, we're talking hundreds of dollars probably, or $1,000. It's not anything nuts. But if he's financing $600,000, that's like,
a bear.
Man, you're gonna just have to hang tight, because that's not gonna. You have no idea what your new payment's gonna be.
So I'm going to reverse this on you. You ready?
Yeah.
If rates come down to 3%, yes, we will see some more inventory, but here's the problem. People have also realized that rents have gone up so much. They have gone up so high.
Down too.
I don't think they will. And
no, they will, because there'll be more people that can buy. Half these people are renting because they don't want to buy. Like, I have a lot of people. So my businesses, I talk to people every day who have houses that didn't sell the first time. And then, I almost exclusively work with listings. So I know multiple people that are going to sell and rent. Like, I've never worked with a sell and rent in my life, like in my career. Like, I have multiple people selling and renting, and they're fine with it.
And you nailed it. And property management is on the rise. One of my guys I just talked to the other day, he's seen a 20% increase in rentals. Because, and I love this concept. They're saying, you know what? My client's got a $1,500 mortgage payment.
Yeah.
They can rent the house for $2,500 to $3,000. So what they said was, which I thought was really wild, they're buying a $500,000 house. And the way they're justifying it, even though the rate's 6%, right? They're saying, you know what, but I've got $1,000 or $1,500 of net profit
coming in from my rental,
which is offsetting my mortgage payment.
Come on, guys. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you have this $2,000 a month mortgage. You can rent it for $4,000 now. You know,
Yeah.
let's say, well, let's put $500 behind for repairs, and if it doesn't rent or whatever, and now we have $1,500 moving forward, and you're looking at your new mortgage like, well, I didn't want to pay 5,000. Well, 3,500. Look at it that way. You know what I
It's not
mean?
that huge. And then you factor in the tax benefits, which are huge. You
Hmm.
factor in the, your tenant is paying your house off,
Yeah, that's
Brian.
the other thing.
That
It's like you're
principal
paying your
curtailment
equity
is
down too.
it's
Yeah,
massive. You really, and
yeah.
then people are looking at it saying, you know what? There's not enough houses for sale. I might as well keep some of this gold, this equity gold, right, for future generations. Brian, it makes sense. It's like a pivot. It's
Yeah.
like it's the whole industry has shifted from a concept of, sell, buy, to now a concept of, as you hit it, rent, buy.
Hmm.
And Brian, it's unreal. Now, I will tell you, I've also seen an increase in people getting home equity lines,
Hmm.
tapping into that
Because they're staying
equity.
home. They was like, I got the equity. So here's the crux of all of this. The what is another word for the origin, the cause is that, and I don't have the number in front of me, but it's like 97% of Americans are 4% and under.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like the conundrum with the banks that went up from what, 0 to 5%, and they're lending out money at 3. And it's like, that's a problem, right? So it's the same thing with the housing. Like, people are sitting on 3% and now they have to jump to 6. It's too far. If
It's a
this had
large
happened
reach.
over a 2-year graduated
Right.
or 3 years graduated, we would have been totally fine. There would have been no problem. It would have probably slowed the housing market down. Maybe jumped it to like 5 and hold tight for a minute. Allow everybody to kind of adjust. But going to 6.5 and 7, I have literally, if you could drop rates to 3.5%, I would have 25, 30, 40 listings next month, because I have all these people that say, call me when rates drop. And I'm like, drop to what? And they say 4. And I'm like, pff. But if they say 5, I'm like, maybe I'll put you on my,
I think 5. I think we'll see 5. I think we'll see 4s. I think with the
again,
bank
in our
failures.
lifetime, or like in the
No,
next
I'm
36
next
months
next
or
next 12 months.
12 months.
Yeah. Okay. So factor in the banks are struggling. We talked about that, right? So
Mhm.
if the Feds continue to raise the rates, they're going to make the banks more banks struggle, more banks will fail, more banks will fail. It just is a domino effect. So that's number one. Number two, we're going
Mhm.
into a political contest. And what do all politicians want to do?
Yeah,
They
I
want to
know, I know.
stimulate the economy. If the economy is
Mhm.
in the can, you and I both know this, right? They're going to have a hard time getting reelected. So with that being the case, I think they're going to push to drop rates. And then the third factor overall, honestly, I think we're in a recession. And in a recession, how do you
Mhm.
stimulate the economy?
Mhm.
Housing is such a large part of the gross domestic product, GDP. With that being the case, whoa, we're going to
All
have
right.
to drop the
Let's take a
rates.
minute then. Let's take a minute and speak to all the buyers on the sideline who are
Sure.
thinking, I don't know about this. I don't want to buy right now. Like, let's talk a little bit about no money down programs, down payment and closing cost assistance programs. Let's talk to the largest demographic is now first time home buyers. Let's talk to somebody who has an income of $80,000.
Sure.
Let's talk about what they can afford real quick, what the payment will be. Tell me, let's break down somebody who makes
Let's say
a
84,000 because it's an
all
easy
right, that's a
number.
great,
Yep.
great number. 84,000. All
84,000,
right. And they're like, hey, Tim, I
$7,000 a
want to
month,
buy a
right?
house. What
Yeah.
can I buy? Let's see what's available to them.
So
And
let's use some cheater methods because it's going to be different based on what part of the country, what part
no,
of the
let's
state,
say they're
right?
moving to Charles County or Southern Maryland and
Perfect.
getting a USDA loan.
Okay, so let's take it in. We have $7,000 a month in income, right? And you and I both know that typically, as far as back ratios on a USDA loan, we don't want to hit more than about 45% of that.
Mhm,
And that,
mhm.
that kind of gives you an idea. That's $3,150. We subtract out, car payment, $450. Now we're down to $2,700, some credit cards, etc. Let's say we bring it down to $2,400, right? So I just subtracted out 3150, 45% of their income. I subtracted out the car payment. I subtracted out some credit cards and student loans. Now I have a $2,400 payment. That's going to buy a $300,000 house, USDA, no money down.
All right, here we go. 0 through 300 in all of Southern Maryland. Currently active, not under contract. There are 78 houses.
Dude, winner, right? Come on now.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Now, assuming that
now rates drop to 5%, your buying power is going to grow.
The
From that
majority of these
perspective.
houses are guess where?
Lusby Ranch
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah.
Which to me is
Ranch Estates, baby.
that's a great market. That's a great community, man. It's coming back.
Guess where the second highest area is? Now, this is not single family alone. This is everything. It's going to be Indian Head.
Is it really Indian Head?
Yeah. And then
I was
St.
thinking
Leonard.
Waldorf. Okay.
No, Waldorf has got like 3. Now, keep in mind, these are houses that are not under contract. So if I add in, hold on.
Under
that
contract,
thought.
yeah.
If I add in active under contract and pending, it goes to 191.
Okay. So that kind of gives you an illustration. Now I want to throw one other concept to you. This blew my mind the other day. Los Angeles, California. Okay. They have instituted a 5% luxury home tax. On the sale of your
You
home.
know what? They haven't chased everybody out of there yet. So they were like, you know what? Some of you guys are still here. Tax them. Tax the rich.
So what's the government solution? Tax the rich. And to me, that's not the solution at all. All you're going to do is drive the people away, right? So the tax is 5%.
So this is like an income tax, 5% of your income.
This is like a transfer and recordation tax, 5%.
Oh.
So you sell your house.
This is a sales tax on a sale of a home.
Yes,
5%. And is this
5%
split? How do we pay for this?
Nope, it's effective May 1st.
I know, but who does this go to? The buyer or the seller?
Seller. It's like an income tax.
And is that based on your profit, or is that every single house? And is that just LA or all of California?
That's LA. It's that county, that community right there. They instituted I blew my mind, Brian. I thought 5%. So if you sell your house, now California's expensive. Let's say you sell your house for $2 million. You're gonna give away $100,000 to the government, to the state, to the county,
so they
whatever
can pay
it is.
for more housing,
more affordable housing.
all the
Now,
homeless people
between
that are in all that housing they have.
So that really that's not the solution, Brian. It really isn't. Now I'm going to tell you what's happened. You're right. It goes into effect, I believe, May 1st of this year. So what's happening right now to real estate in LA? They're having the
West Coast
sale.
is getting slaughtered. People don't know
Huge.
this, but the West Coast is actually, house prices are crashing. But that's also because house prices were skyrocketing. East Coast, DC, it was like a little of this. You know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't. There was no jagged.
Still went up.
But West Coast, but it wasn't like the West Coast.
Not Washington State, Oregon, California. It's all a mess. But Brian, imagine what's happening right now. There is a fire sale going on the high end houses. Number one, because people want to get it done before they hit this 5% premium. Number two, we already know that marketplace is having a severe contraction in value. That higher end marketplace across the U.S. We're seeing that, right? And then number three, more importantly, interest rates. They're not dropping yet.
No,
they really aren't. So yeah. So is that the solution? Is the tax? The rich, and you know what happens already. They start taxing the higher end. People move out. Then they lower the tax to the next level down. Then it's the next level down. And suddenly, if you want to buy or sell a house, it gets tremendously more expensive.
It does, and that's where people historically who have lived in these larger homes in our area were just two working class GS 14s, right? And their income was like maybe 250,000 or 200,000, 150,000, whatever. And a lot of these houses were purchased for, 400,000, 500. Back in the day, that was like, a 6,000 square foot house was like 500,000-600,000. Now those are 900,000. And a GS, someone who makes 250,000 theoretically could afford the house, but what's a payment on a mortgage of, let's just say 800,000?
How much down?
Ballpark it.
Just the mortgage.
Like let's say you bought it at $1 million and you put 20% down.
Okay, so you got $800,000 mortgage. I mean, honestly, just roughly about $9,600.
$9,600. Come on, no one's doing that.
It comes down to the taxes, Brian. And that's the other side of the coin. The real estate taxes the property taxes are going through the roof.
That's $1,000 a month on a house for $1 million, right? They're around 1% around here. That's not like killing anybody, but $9,000 a month mortgage. That's where
taxes, insurance, it's all going through the roof.
Well,
it just depends.
It's the interest. The large section of that is obviously the interest, because if you drop that to 3% What's 3% of
Oh
$800,000
my God.
house? Like what it used to be.
$4,500. I'm
It's
just kind of
half. It's less than
yeah,
half. Like
it is
that's
insane.
totally affordable. Who
Yep.
wouldn't want a $900,000 house for $4,500 a month? Like, come on, guys, let's
All day
do it.
long, right? But
Right?
things have changed. The world's pivoted. The states are, they're looking at the revenue coming in. They're looking at the property taxes. We don't have as many
But
houses
look,
sold.
you and I just
Sure.
discussed like the new market, the new world is first time home buyers at 65%.
Right.
So what's available to somebody who's now going to go uh, buy this $300,000 house? Is there any down payment and closing cost assistance programs out there?
Most of the states still have some kind of housing,
What about
authority.
here in like Maryland?
Maryland Mortgage Program, of course, we
Okay.
love that
And
program.
what
It's
is
got,
like,
yeah.
what's your favorite?
Well,
What's your
I love
favorite flavor?
honestly, I love the Maryland Mortgage Program because they'll do 3, 4, 5, even 6% of the loan amount for down payment and closing costs. That's huge, right?
Okay. So
And
that
yeah,
$300,000 house, if you got 5% of that,
yeah.
it's
So
$15,000.
pays all the closing, pays
Yeah.
everything, Brian. So you can
And
go,
part of your probably a down payment because that's you can't
well,
cover it. It won't be 5%.
go with the USDA loan, go with the VA
Yeah.
loan, right?
So
Or
USDA
combine.
loan is no money down, 100%
Right.
financing, and then you could theoretically get the Maryland Mortgage Program to pay all your closing costs,
Sure.
bringing your total amount due at settlement
To
right here. And
zero.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
that in years, by the way. You know what I mean? Like you and I have been doing this since I've been doing this since '09. And how many times back in 13, 14, 15, 10, 11, did we see somebody go to settlement and get a check for $1,000, which was their deposit
The
all the
EMD, right?
time?
Oh, yeah. It was common.
And when
And
was the last
then
time you saw that happen? I can't tell you the last time I saw somebody get a check at settlement.
we're still seeing it, but it's rare. It's just not the norm.
But
It
I
really
think we're
isn't.
getting
Yeah.
back there. I think because I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I put a house on the market in Lusby,
Right.
264,000, sold it in honestly like
How many
4
hours?
hours.
That was a
Really.
safe. Yeah. Hours,
And
Brian. Oh, yeah.
but I ended up getting multiple offers, all had seller help, seller help, seller help. Can we get seller help? It's like, yeah, we
What's
can.
that tell you about the market? These
This
people,
first time home buyers, people are expecting it.
and they need help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you sold a house in 240 minutes.
Well, so I
Yeah.
put it on at midnight. I don't really count it till 9 a.m. because you can't
Still,
make an appointment.
no, it's mind boggling.
But I
People
had an
buying
offer by
houses.
like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So yeah.
People are buying houses without seeing the house, Brian. It's still that insane. It really is. Now I'm going to throw another avenue to you. So do you buy today at 6%?
And this is such a loaded question because it seems like this is almost like it's like a testing question to test your philosophy on life. And I think that you buy a house when it makes sense to buy a house for you. Like you look at the
Exactly.
payment, you look at what's available, you look at your needs, you make a decision. You don't look at life like, okay, I'm going to make a decision about buying a home in the next 5 years. Well, where are you going to live on the other 4 years?
Right.
If
In
you
that
decide to
shed.
wait 5, like, you
Just-
know what I mean? You're
yeah.
going to rent, like, okay. So what do? You find the cheapest rental in the world and you squirrel up all your money. It's like,
So
that
I'm
doesn't
going
make a lot of sense.
I'm going to pose 2 things to you. Number 1, I think people should buy if it fits their budget and their needs. I
Mhm.
think they have to accommodate both. Number 1, right? Number 2, they have to recognize that, based on the severe limited market inventory that we have available right now, we anticipate values to continue moving up. So,
Yeah.
so with that being the case, number 3, we expect rates to come down. They're going to refinance, in 12, 18
I put
months.
2 houses under contract yesterday, both over the appraisal.
So that's my point. So I think, quite honestly, still, this is, we always talk about this is, if it's within your budget and with your needs, I still think this is a great time to buy despite the rates, because when the rates drop to 3 or 4, Brian, the rush to buy is going to be insane. The competition is going to be just as crazy, right?
I mean, the thing is, like, I remember this, and then, I remember that when I was showing people houses, they would always look at the sticker price and they had this anchoring in their mind of like what they thought they were good for, like 400,000.
Sure.
They didn't like scale that based on their payment. They were always looking at the sticker price, like, oh well, we feel like we can do 600,000. You know what the payment is? No, it's like,
Yeah.
you base everything on that. And I think you and I talked about this when I bought my house. I wish I had bought a bigger house. I could easily have afforded a bigger house. I was just being nervous
Yeah, that's
And I
okay
was
though. Yeah.
I was at less than 20% of my like net income was
Right.
my mortgage payment. And I was thinking, like, I've watched people push 50%. Now I don't think it's a wise thing to do, but I'm like, I could afford more and I didn't. Now I feel like when the rates go back down, people will be a little more wise about that idea of like, you know what, the rate and the payment is what matters, and you probably can afford more than you think you can, but the struggle is real, my friend.
The
So
struggle is real, man. I'm
so
serious.
what's going to happen? We have barely any houses on the market. Is there going to be a bursting open of the gates? The floodgates are going to pop open anytime soon?
No, that was too easy, right? I don't believe so. I think we'll start to see things free up a little bit next spring. I think there's going to be some legislation coming out regarding these large corporations owning all these homes.
Next
I think,
spring.
yeah, spring of 24.
So you think the rest of 2023 is going to be what?
I think it's going to be very chill.
Very chill.
Very chill. Yeah, just relax. Just kick back. Take a trip to some national parks. Just kind of, just take it all in. Yeah.
Don't buy so the housing market is just going to be chill. It's going to be a little bit of houses
chill.
sold,
Yeah.
a little bit of people looking. Just everything's pretty chill. And if you're a real estate agent, you better do what?
Well, I think you do. I think you diversify. No, I think you diversify. I think you got to be doing property management if that's an opportunity for you, because I think that's going to be huge going forward. Number one, right? Number two, I think buying and selling is still hot. I think a lot of agents are going to leave the industry. I mean, quite frankly, you'll see lenders and title companies leave the industry, right?
Yeah.
And then number three, more importantly, this is the time to really tighten up your skills, sharpen your skills, be ready to go when things do pop. And you know what? Why not? Why not be in position to be able to take it? Why not have an amazing, CRM, right? We've talked about that before. I mean, that's huge.
You upgrade your studio, Tim. So when you come on live, you are looking sharp, man. Brother.
There you go.
You look good, sound good.
I'm ready.
Everything, brother. Man. You're coming across like you are ready to come on, man. You literally look like you're like live from Waldorf, Maryland. This is Tim Murphy, and I think that the Fed has made a huge mistake, frankly, Susan. And let me tell you about it. You look like you're really ready for this, Tim.
I am ready, man. Let's kill it. All right, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Always, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, later.